Well, as I mentioned, we're going to begin the feet just like we began the thumb. Let's go grab part of this middle finger here. Right in here, I'll Alt-click between two of the faces and then press Control+ and expand this. Well, actually, I'll press Control- and let's bring it back to about right there. Just the end of that first knuckle there. So let's press Shift-D and I'll press Y and let's move it out. All right, now let's go ahead and bring it down. So I'm going to turn it in the Z-axis, RZ90. Well, that's the wrong direction, so let's do RZ-90. There we go. And let's bring this down to about where the big toe would be. We can, of course, turn on our front view here, and we have the drawing with the shoes on, so of course the feet aren't going to come all the way down here, but we can at least have this. I'm going to scale it up some. I'm going to have this down here just as a reference point. I'll turn on the side view, bring this way here. So this is just kind of a reference point as to where we're going to be heading as we create the foot. This will change. We'll adjust the size and the placement as we get a little bit closer, but just to have that as a reference, I think is a good idea. So let's now come over here and grab this edge right here, and we're going to extrude down, turn it at the heel, and then extrude forward toward the toes. So with that edge selected, I'll hit E and pull down just a bit, and then I'll hit E and pull down again, and this time I'm going to scale it out in the Y, SY, bring it out like this, and I'm going to turn it like this. So you can see by the angle here, we're going to angle this down toward the heel, and we're going to angle this out and down toward the toe. All right, so let me move that back just a bit like that. Now we can also look at it from the front view. In fact, we should probably press Control-Alt-Q so we can see all of the views here, or at least the front and the side, and then this can be our perspective if we tumble around here. And in the front view, we may want to scale this out in the X, S and X, and pull that out just a bit. All right, let's begin again with that selected. Let's hit E and pull down some, and S and Y and scale out a bit. And I'll move this around, maybe turn it a little bit as well. There we go. Once again, I'll scale in the X in the front view like this. All right, let's do that again now. Let's hit E and pull this down. I'll press S and Y and scale this out a bit. We'll hit R and turn it. And I'll hit G and kind of move it forward just a bit. And once again, scale out in the X-axis just a bit like this. All right, so now as we get down toward the heel, we're going to choose a few of these edges along here. I'm going to choose these edges and get those in line like this. So if I press Alt-Z, you can kind of see how I've chosen these edges here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. So let's now, with those selected, let's extrude straight down. E and Z, and I'm just going to pull straight down like this. And maybe even turn that just a bit like this. There we go. And now we could grab these points right here and pull them forward just a bit. And now we have this whole line of edges right here that we can begin extruding forward now. So from here, we could hit E and just pull forward like this. We can begin to scale them in the Y with S and Y and begin to kind of bring those in so they're a little bit flatter. We could also scale down in the Z some and move this around about like that. Now we could begin scaling some points in here. So let's say this point and this point. I'm going to turn on the proportional editing tool here and press S and X. We could begin scaling in like this, kind of narrowing the top a little bit. While keeping the bottom a little flatter, we could maybe grab these points here, right in here, and bring those down, GZ. Bring those down just a bit like that. So you can begin moving points around at this juncture as well. As we've said, just any time you can, making the adjustments needed as you're extruding. So I'll click this edge again, hit E and pull forward. I'm now going to stretch it out a bit and scale it in the Y, S, Y. Oh, I better turn off that proportional editing tool again. There you go. S and Y, and scale that in just a bit. Then bring it back like this. And I'll scale it in the Z, S and Z. Bring that down a bit. All right, let's do that again. E, and I'll hit Y to scale in the Y axis, and let's bring that forward. S and Y, and flatten it up some. S and Z, and scale that down. There we go. Now from here we can begin widening these out a bit. So S and X, bring those out a bit. Like so. We can also begin pulling some of these points down because this area here stays a little bit higher than this over by the pinky or the little toe. So if I turn on the proportional editing tool again and hit G and Z, we can begin bringing these down a bit like this. G and Z. Because our foot is kind of angled on the top as it comes down to meet up with the toes. So I'll select that edge again. Maybe I'll flatten it, S and Y. Oh, once again, I'll hit the O key to turn off the proportional editing tool. S and Y, and scale in a bit. All right, now let's extrude forward once again. E, bring that forward. And let's shrink it down, S and Z. Flatten it up with S and Y. And bring it down some like this. All right, now there's more we can do here. Let's grab this point here, turn our proportional editing tool back on with the O key, and hit G, and let's pull these down some. Kind of like this. And also we could grab some of these points in here and work on the arch of the foot. I'll press Ctrl-Alt-Q to go back to the perspective view, and I'll just grab this and hit G and move it in a bit. Something like this. And also we want to move that up. So I'll hit G and move this up some. Like that. So we're beginning to get kind of an arch of the foot there. And let me turn off the images for a moment. So this is where we are so far. We've extruded the legs down and forward to begin the foot. Now we need to think about connecting the toes up. But before I do that, let me just grab a couple points here, and I want to pull these out for the ankles. So I'll hit G and X and kind of pull this out like this. And maybe grab this one here and pull that out like that. So just to kind of hint at the ankles there. That may have been a little bit too much, but that's okay. We can always pull those back in. There we go. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to take this toe and duplicate it for the other toes. Then we need to connect all those toes up and extrude them back toward the heel to connect up with this. So that's what we'll do in the next video.